You think something's wrong with you. You've noticed the list of guys you call friends keeps getting shorter every year. Birthdays come and go, group chats go quiet, and somewhere in the back of your mind, a question won't leave you alone. Did I do something wrong? Am I becoming that guy? Isolated, hard to reach, unable to keep people around, even to yourself? Here's the truth nobody's telling you. It's not that you're bad at friendship. It's that you stopped letting just anyone get close. The world told you a big circle means you're liked, valuable, winning. It lied, and it's been lying for a long time. Why do so many men end up surrounded by people and still feel completely alone? Because a crowded circle isn't the same as a guarded one. Quantity isn't safety. Noise isn't loyalty. It never was. You're about to see what it actually looks like to become a kingdom man. A man who isn't collected by whoever shows up, but who decides, on purpose, who gets to walk beside him in this life. In this video, we're covering 4 hard truths about men with fewer friends. Truths the world got completely backwards. This isn't just about you. Your wife feels the weight of who you let close to this family, more than you probably know. Your kids are watching who gets a seat at your table, even when you never say a word about it out loud, not once. Ignoring this has already cost some of you far more than you're willing to admit to yourself tonight of all nights. It's already shaping the legacy you're building, whether you meant it to or not, whether you notice it or not. This is what it looks like to walk in dominion over your own life, instead of letting anyone with a smile decide who gets a piece of it. This is what it means to steward your household like it actually belongs to someone bigger than you, because it does. Most men will never say this part out loud. They let the wrong people in for years, just to avoid feeling alone for a season. You already know that's true, deep down. Maybe it's true about you too, more than you'd like to admit right now. This won't be comfortable to sit through. Keep watching anyway, all the way to the end. Let's get started. Number 1, you're not antisocial. You're a gatekeeper. Say that word to yourself for a second. Gatekeeper, not loner. Those are 2 completely different men, even if the world can't tell them apart anymore. When the city of Jerusalem lay in ruins, one man named Nehemiah didn't just rebuild the wall. He appointed gatekeepers, men whose only job was standing at the entrance, deciding who came in and who stayed out. The wall alone wasn't enough. A wall without a guarded gate is just decoration. Anyone can still walk right through it, day or night, and take whatever they want on the way in. That's your life. That's your home. That's your marriage. Why do so many men end up surrounded by the wrong crowd? Plain and simple, because they never appointed themselves to the gate. They let the wall stand there while every friendly face walks straight through it. The co-worker who's always got a reason to complain about his wife. The old buddy who only calls when he needs something. The guy who makes you laugh but somehow leaves you feeling worse about your own life every single time. A kingdom man does something different. He treats access to his life like it actually matters, because it does. He's not drifting through friendships, hoping the right ones show up on their own. He's called to guard them on purpose, the same way he guards his front door at night. Here's how this looks in real life. Before you let someone deep into your world, your time, your struggles, your family, ask one question. Does this man make me more like the husband and father I'm trying to become, or less? That's it. That's the filter. No committee. No overthinking. And here's the part most men skip. The gate you guard for yourself is the same gate that decides who gets near your wife and your kids. A man who lets anyone walk through his own life will let anyone walk through his family's life too. That's not a coincidence. It's the same door. You're not being cold. You're not being proud. You're doing the one job every strong man is supposed to do, and most men never even show up for. You don't owe your gate to everyone who knocks on it. Number 2, your vision decides who walks with you. Most men think friendship is about comfort. It's actually about direction. Once you know exactly where you're headed, some people simply can't come with you. Not because you stopped loving them, but because they were never headed there in the first place. That's not betrayal. That's just physics. Look at Gideon. God told him to fight with an army of 32,000 men. Then God cut it down to 300, not because more men couldn't fight, because most of them weren't ready to. God filtered them down to the few who stayed alert even while they knelt to drink water from the stream. Everyone else, the ones who dropped their guard for a drink, went home. No shame on them. They just weren't built for what was coming. 300 men beat an entire enemy camp that night, not because they were the loudest voices in the room, because they were the right ones standing in it. The same applies to you. Your calling doesn't need a crowd behind it. It needs the right few beside you. Cut the crap. You already know which names on your list are 32,000 and which ones are the 300. Here's the test. Picture where you want to be in 10 years. The husband, the father, the kingdom man you're building toward. Now picture your current circle standing right there with you in that picture. Some of them fit it. Some of them clearly, obviously don't. That's not judgment. That's clarity. Some men were built for your comfort. Few were built for your legacy. Stop feeling guilty for outgrowing people who were only ever headed toward comfort while you were headed toward a calling. You're not losing friends. You're finally seeing which ones were real the whole time. Number 3, and this is the one most men don't want to hear. Number 3, every man you let get close used to cost you something. This is the one most men don't want to hear. So let's not waste time getting to it. For years, maybe your whole life, you thought keeping the door open to everyone was kindness. It's not. Every person you let deep into your world took something from you, even when you never noticed the withdrawal. Time, trust, peace in your own home. Some of you are still paying interest on relationships you ended years ago, not out loud. Not to your wife, not to your friends, not even fully to yourself. Just a quiet debt you carry into every new season of your life, hoping nobody ever asks about the balance. I remember one man I trusted with things I hadn't told anyone else. He was easy to be around, and I let my guard down for 2 years straight. That cost me more than I want to admit tonight. I didn't notice the walls come down until they already had. That's not weakness. That's what happens when a gate gets left open long enough. History is full of cities that fell exactly this way. Think of Troy. The Greeks didn't break down the front wall after 10 years of trying. They left something at the gate that looked like a gift, and the city pulled it in themselves because it looked impressive. Because it looked like a win. Because nobody thought to inspect what they were letting inside their own walls. By morning, the whole city was gone. Not from the outside, from what they let in. Ancient fortresses rarely fell to a massive army smashing through the front wall. They fell because somewhere in the back there was a small gate nobody thought to guard. One night, that's exactly where the enemy walked in. The front wall held. The whole city still fell anyway. Nobody remembers the name of that forgotten gate. Everybody remembers the fall. That's the law right there. It's never the door you're watching that gets you. It's the one you stopped watching. And it's rarely something that looks like a threat walking through it. It usually looks like a gift. The same applies to your life. You lock the front door of your house every night, plain and simple. But how many of you leave the back door of your heart wide open to whoever flatters you, whoever tells you what you want to hear, whoever makes you feel important for 20 minutes at a time? Here's the part nobody warns you about. It's rarely money that gets past a man's guard. It's rarely power, and most men can spot that coming from a mile away. What actually gets past the gate is someone making you feel seen when you felt invisible for a while, at home, at work, in your own head. That's the exact moment your guard drops, and you don't even feel it happen. Look at how it actually shows up. It's the coworker who just wants to talk and somehow knows more about your marriage than your wife does. It's the group chat that turns every hard season at home into a joke instead of a warning sign. It's the messages you'd never leave open on the counter for her to see. None of that looks like an attack walking through the gate. It looks like relief. That's exactly why it gets in. Here's the test every king eventually takes, whether he wants to or not. It's never really told by how much power he holds. It's told by who he lets whisper in his ear when nobody else is in the room. Your life is no different, dead serious. Every man has an ear somebody's whispering into. The only question is whether you chose the voice or just let whoever showed up first take the seat. That door has no lock on it for some of you right now. You already know exactly who's been walking through it. Here's where this gets spiritual, and I'm not going to soften it. Scripture doesn't tell you to avoid the devil in general. It tells you not to give him a foothold. One small, unguarded opening is all it ever takes. Just a gate nobody was watching that night. You know that relationship you keep replaying at 2 in the morning. The one where you let someone get too close, too fast, for reasons you still can't fully explain, even to yourself. Maybe it cost you your integrity for a season. Maybe it cost you years you can't get back. Maybe it's the reason you still flinch a little when your wife asks who you were before her. Here's what your soul needs to hear. God already forgave that. The debt is paid in full. In that old story of the son who wasted everything and came home expecting to be turned away at the gate, the father didn't make him beg outside it. He ran to meet him there first. Grace got to the gate before shame could finish making its case. If any part of that just hit somewhere you don't usually let people see, don't sit on it alone. Tell your story in the comments right now, whatever it is, however messy, however long you've carried it, not for the likes. So the next man reading it tonight doesn't have to carry his secret the way you carried yours. That's how men actually grow. Not white-knuckling this in silence, one man at a time, but learning from each other's battles, one honest comment at a time. What's left for you isn't punishment. It's a lesson about which gates you guard from now on. Carrying guilt for something God already settled isn't humility. It's just a different kind of unguarded gate, one where regret walks in and never leaves. That alone is a conversation for another video. How this exact principle applies to guarding who gets close to your wife. And the covenant you share, not just to you. Hold on to that thought. Now hear this straight up, because some of you are about to take this the wrong way. None of this means becoming a hermit. It doesn't mean suspicion toward every new face, or a wall so high nothing good can get over it either. A guarded gate still opens. It just doesn't open for everyone, and it never opens on autopilot. You've spent years being present at your own gate without actually being engaged at it, reactive instead of intentional, reacting to whoever showed up instead of deciding on purpose who deserved to stand there. Here's what changes starting tonight. Stop granting deep access on day one just because someone's charming, funny, or easy to talk to. Watch 3 things first. Watch how he talks about people who aren't in the room. That's how he'll eventually talk about you. Watch how he handles hearing the word no that tells you what he does the moment he doesn't get his way. And watch how he treats people who can't do a single thing for him. That's the realest version of who he is, no sugarcoating it. Give it time. Real trust is earned slowly, one tested season at a time. That's discipline, plain and simple. Whoever rushes you past that isn't offering friendship. He's offering a shortcut, and shortcuts around your gate are exactly how it gets left open in the first place. Ask yourself, tonight, straight up, no committee needed, who currently has a key to your gate that never actually earned one? Who's been let in on comfort, on charm, on convenience, instead of on character you actually watched hold up under pressure? Write the name down if you have to. A gate you can't name isn't one you're actually guarding. That ends today, or it doesn't end at all. This isn't just about the years behind you either. Your sons are learning how to guard their own gate by watching how you guard yours, whether you ever sit them down and explain it or not. A man who breaks this cycle doesn't just protect himself. He hands his kids a gate that's already been tested, already been proven, already been fought for. That's a different kind of generational blessing than money ever could be. A kingdom man doesn't pretend the past didn't happen. He doesn't pretend it didn't cost him something real. He just refuses to leave the same gate open twice, and he stewards what's left of his trust like it's finally worth something, because it is. But the last one is where all of this actually comes together, and it starts with something most men never do: being completely fine on their own. And the last one, the one most men completely miss: a man who's whole alone is the only man who can actually choose who gets close. Read that twice if you have to, because everything else in this video hangs on it. You can't guard a gate you're desperate to keep open. And you'll always be desperate to keep it open if you can't stand 5 quiet minutes in your own head. Watch an eagle sometime. It doesn't fly in a flock, hunting the same scraps as every other bird in a crowded sky, needing the noise of 100 wings just to feel normal. It flies alone or with one mate, at a height most birds can't even survive. That's not because it's antisocial. It's because it was built for altitude, and altitude is a lonely address. Pigeons flock because they need the numbers to feel safe. Eagles don't need the numbers. They were never afraid of the height in the first place. The same applies to you. A man who needs a crowd around him at all times isn't secure. He's still looking for someone to tell him he's okay. A man who's fine in the quiet, fine with his own thoughts, fine standing at his own gate without an audience, that's a man nobody can talk into anything. That's a man nobody can buy, nobody can flatter, nobody can quietly steer off course with a compliment at the right moment. Unshaken. Nobody gets to move him but God. Here's the part that changes everything for men like you and me. You weren't made to find your worth in whoever's standing next to you. You were made in the image of a God who existed in perfect fullness before he created a single other being to stand beside him. Fullness came first, company came second. If it worked that way for him, it's supposed to work that way for you too. That's why the men with the smallest circles are so often the strongest ones in the room. Not because they pushed everyone away, because they finally stopped needing everyone close. They stopped surviving on other people's approval and started building something that doesn't need a crowd's permission to stand. This is the difference between a man collecting company and a man building a legacy. One is comfortable with anyone in the room. The other has learned exactly who belongs in it. You can spot the second man from a mile away. He's not cold. He's just done outsourcing his identity to whoever happens to be standing near him that week. And here's the payoff of everything you just heard. When a man like that does let someone in, really in, past the gate, into the room where his real life happens, that friendship means something. It's not one of 100, it's one of a few, handpicked, tested, chosen on purpose instead of collected by accident. That's not a smaller life, that's a guarded one. That's a life somebody actually stewarded instead of just letting happen to him. Your wife doesn't need a husband with 50 friends. She needs a husband who's whole enough not to go looking for validation everywhere else, and discerning enough to know exactly who deserves a seat at their table. Your kids don't need a father with a packed calendar. They need a father who's the same man behind the gate as he is in front of it. At church, at work, and at home, with no difference between the three. Somewhere along the way, you got taught that a quiet phone and a short guest list at your birthday meant you'd failed at something. Flip that tonight. A guarded gate isn't a smaller life, it's a defended one. And a defended life is exactly what gets handed down as an inheritance instead of a warning. You don't need 100 names in your phone to prove you're not alone. You need to be a man who's finally fine being still, fine being quiet, fine being exactly who God built you to be before anyone else ever showed up to confirm it. That's a kingdom man, not loud, not surrounded, just unshaken and impossible to move off the calling he was built for. That's the truth about men with fewer friends. It was never a flaw. It was the evidence the whole time. So here's who you're becoming. If you actually live out everything you just heard, you're becoming a man who doesn't need a crowd to know he's enough. A man who stands at his own gate, decides who gets close, and doesn't apologize for the ones he let go. A man whose wife feels safe with what he protects, and whose kids grow up wanting to become exactly this kind of man themselves one day. This was never about isolation. It never will be. It's about finally being the one who decides, instead of letting everyone else decide for you. You don't owe anyone an explanation for a small circle, not coworkers, not old friends who drifted for good reason. Not even yourself, lying awake at 2 a.m, wondering if something's wrong with you. Nothing's wrong with you. You just finally grew a gate worth guarding. Maybe someone sent you this video tonight, instead of you finding it yourself. If that's you, hear this. That wasn't an accusation. That was someone who already sees the man you're becoming, even on the nights you can't see him yourself. Fewer friends was never proof you failed at something. It was proof you finally started guarding something worth guarding. Fewer names in your phone was never the tragedy. Losing your gate to whoever showed up first, that was always the real one. You get to walk in dominion over your own life, starting tonight, not tomorrow. That's the calling. That's the whole point. That's what it looks like to steward your own life instead of just living through it. Slow down long enough to actually notice who's standing at your gate right now. Some of them earned that spot. Some of them just never left. You don't have to fix all of it tonight. You just have to start standing at your own gate again on purpose, one honest decision at a time. By the way, if this landed the way it was supposed to, hit like and subscribe. It helps this message reach the next man who needs to hear it just as much as you did tonight. Until next time.